The year is 2184. Overpopulation, crumbling infrastructure, increasing temperatures, and rising sea levels have pushed back and reset coastal cities around the world, merging the ever-expanding urban zones and forcing the unity of its first megalopolis. Welcome to New Eastern City. A new age of dystopia has begun, and a new drug, steam, has flooded the streets and taken the city by storm. Farmed in several South American countries and smuggled in via the reignited Caribbean freeway, its users are being referred to as steampunks, and those in any way associated with this new disease, the drug lords, smugglers, pushers, and users alike, are known to be on the steam train. The overwhelming pressures placed upon the New Eastern Police Department have forced the creation of a unique task force, integrated but separated from the broader New Eastern Vice. Their primary directive: to target the steam train. Their detectives go by the name of Vice Runners. Sector 1, Upper New Eastern, Raptor Heights District. Sirens pierced through the air, speeding between the towering steel structures and leaving a ghostly echo that haunted the busy streets. It was cold and wet. A thunderous rain had recently soaked the pavements and left a layer of oily gleam on the sullied surface. Detective Troy Hanna, dressed as always in a sharp blue suit, covered by a long dark overcoat. A man of average height, with a leaner than average athletic build, was currently hiding behind a stack of used boxes and old decaying garbage bags. A few hundred yards in front of him stood two fellow undercover detectives, one of which was holding a case full of money. The other was his brother. A sleek black hovercar silently passed him, blessing him with the faintest wave of warm air as it sped down the alley towards an open car park, hovering just above street level. The electrical hum faded fast as it mingled with the now heightened sounds of the city. Above him, yet still beneath the steel sky, the roar of an aviator snatched his attention.
Welcome to the new 80s!
Welcome to the new 80s, flashed across the small flying craft as its calming voice smoothly delivered its many offers to the ant-like citizens below.
Have you considered life on Mars? Join the colony today.
Huge screens on either side switched from one advert to the next simultaneously, its vibrant colours reflected upon the rain-soaked streets. The hovercar descended till its wheels touched the ground, and the doors slowly opened. Troy watched on as two men in dark, expensive-looking suits emerged, their movements hindered by hidden objects beneath their blazers. Something didn't feel right. Troy briefly pondered reaching for his weapon. He looked down towards it, and in that moment, his world crumbled around him. The thunderous explosion of automatic machine gun fire shook the ground and echoed throughout the deserted alleyway. The wildfire sent bullets ripping through the undercover detectives, as well as the glass-windowed booth behind them. A plume of money filled the night as shards of glass littered the sky, each piece reflecting the gunfire like flaming rain, before smashing onto the pavement with a terrifying chorus of unison.
No!
Cried Troy as he pushed through the painful ringing in his ears and ran towards his brother. His heart mimicked the rapid burst of the machine guns as the horror rushed through his body. But the shooters had already climbed back inside the vehicle as it began to rise into the air. And the last thing Troy saw, as he dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around his dying brother, was the vehicle's rear-tinted window open and the grin of the man who had just ordered the execution. A man he knew as ᴨဃᴇᴇ. Sector 3, Lower New Eastern, Elysium Shores District. The humid air was warm and still. A high sun cast its rays between the rising skyscrapers, baking the pavements and leaving a layer of distortion above the seared streets. A rare salty breeze lifted off the warm Caribbean waters, carried over the sea wall and swam through the downtown alleys. Detective Kane Beckett stood on the corner of one of those alleys, his ruffled white shirt blowing slightly in the breeze as he stubbed out the remains of his cigarette and watched a car pull up beside him. An aging blue paint job covered an even older chassis. The roof was down, and inside sat his partner Leon and a low-end nobody called Connor. Kane jumped into the back seat and made himself comfortable as Connor sped away without barely stopping in the first place.
Hey, what the hell, Connor? You forget where the ocean is or something? My boat's in the fucking marina, pal.
We're not gonna need your boat, man. I got a new player. A different train, man, and it's already running, so...
Whoa. That ain't the plan, Connor. Leon flashes the cash, and we take my boat to pick up the Colombian steam.
Don't worry about that, man. Fuck the Colombians, okay? Hey, I'm a free agent, man.
And you decide to go rogue now? On the day of the fucking job? Tell me you're not okay with this, Leon.
I told you wouldn't like it.
Listen, man, nobody tells me what to do, you know? You gotta be liquid, man. Play the game.
You're cutting out the main player here, Connor. Those Colombians don't mess around.
Hey, relax, man. Enjoy the ride.
You're on a dealer's payroll, and you decide you're just gonna catch another train? That's bad business, son.
Connor smirked behind his oversized sunglasses. Leon, sensing the tension build, decided to give Connor the benefit of doubt.
Hey, nothing we can do about it now, Beckett. Let's just see what he's got, yeah?
Kane sat back and ran his fingers through his windswept hair. Anxiety was creeping in. Change inspired confusion, and confusion, in this game, often ended in violence. As Connor finished the drive, he eventually parked underneath a disused freeway bridge. The area was instantly ominous, run down, deserted. Connor switched off the engine, opened the door, and motioned for Leon to follow him to a nearby parked car.
You're gonna love this, man. I've been doing my research, you know? I'm taking this seriously now, man.
Yeah, Connor. Just show me what you got.
I've been train spotting for weeks, yeah. This steam is guaranteed quality right here. Mwah.
Leon followed, looking back to give an amusing nod to his partner. Kane released a nervous smile as he sat back, stretched out his arms and tried to relax. He watched as Leon played along, occasionally studying the area, checking for threats that weren't there. But there was a reason for that, because the real threat was much closer. And as Connor opened the truck to the abandoned vehicle, the underpass was suddenly alive with fire and violence. The shockwave roared through the air as Kane was flown back into his seat. And when he eventually emerged from cover, the vehicle, Connor, and his partner were no more. 2 days later, Midline District. Alphonso, a jumped-up middleman trying to make his way to first class on board the steam train, emerged from the colourful facade of a fast food joint, a fresh hot dog in his hand, and jumped into his open-top car. Seconds later, before Alphonso could even start the engine, Kane jumped into the passenger seat and knocked the hot dog from Alphonso's grasp.
Damn, son, what the... Are you crazy? I ought to kill you.
Kane held the pistol to Alphonso's head.
Spare me the tough talk, Alphonso. Start giving me details. The car bomb, 2 days ago at Elysian Shores, 8th Street underpass. Alphonso briefly paused for thought. The searing heat poured down upon them. Sweat began to fall freely from his forehead as his anger subsided.
Hey, you're talking to the middle guy here. Okay, look, I'm sorry about your friend.
My partner.
That bomb was only meant for Connor, you get me? People get blown away all the time in New Eastern, trying to catch their own train and all that.
Yeah, you also blew away my take in the deal, man.
That were the hit I would give him. Colombians don't like being played, you know.
Yeah, I know. Now listen to me carefully. You tell this Colombian guy I want to meet, because I still want my end in the original deal. Now, Alphonso looked sheepish. His brain swirled for answers, trying to think of a way to swerve this man that he knew as Kane Woods.
Okay, man. I tell you what, I got a sideline going with this guy. So, let's start a new deal with the Colombians. You and me, 50K each. Plus, we need your speedboat.
What the hell do you need that for? You know we have other means of flying transportation these days, pal.
Hey man, you know the cops are all over that. Sometimes the old ways are the best. You feel me?
Kane fell silent as his eyes settled upon a heavy mirage cast from the heated concrete, reflecting the steel towers that rose above them. If you stared too long at the city in the daylight, it easily blurred into a liquid haze of silver. His mind ran through his options before eventually holstering his weapon. It wasn't the original plan, but it was still a way to get in, a way to get close. One step closer to revenge. Elysian Shores District, Oldtown. Detective Troy Hanna arrived in Lower New Eastern a few days earlier. The heat, the scene, the culture here was vibrant, colourful, and always alive. A stark contrast to the dark misery of Raptor Heights. It was a vibe he immediately took to. He'd painstakingly tracked his target for days and eventually followed him all the way down to sunny Elysian Shores. Drago Kurtz, a high-end steam dealer, leader of the Drago cartel, and the man responsible for his brother's murder. And soon, their paths would cross. Nobody knew Troy down here. Not in this sector, not this far undercover. He'd assumed the name of Anton de Jager, a South African steam pusher who recently escaped from the local authorities down in Pretoria and made his way to the relative freedom of New Eastern City. His focus now lay solely on the Booby Trap strip club. He made himself known, made himself seen, and he'd put the feelers out to anyone who looked like they might know something, anything. And after 2 nights of fishing, a catch finally arrived. And while one eye gazed over the dancing beauty in front of him, the other kept track of the man that now approached him. Over the dancer's music, the man spoke.
Hey, I'm Jack.
Really, eh? Well, nice to meet you, Jack.
So, this man you're looking for?
Drago Kurtz. You know him?
You know, there's lots of people out there with that name, buddy.
Is that so?
The 2 men stared at each other, both knowing that information came at a price.
He's a friend of a friend, okay? And I need to speak with him.
Jack remained silent, studying the man before him, his clothes, his demeanor, his body language, anything that could portray which side of the game he was playing. Troy noticed a glimmer of steel and instinctively looked down to the man's augmented leg.
Ah, you like what you see, huh? It's a V3 augmentation. Plasteel core with updated hydraulics.
Oh yeah? How's that working out for you, eh?
Better than the real thing. I can run faster, jump higher. Oh, and the best thing is, it don't hurt no more. Can't have knee pain if you don't have no goddamn knee, right? Yeah, I admit it looks pretty ugly now, of course. I'm still waiting for the synthetic mesh and second skin, but for now it'll do.
That's great for you. Listen, I've got a heavy cash flow and unlimited resources back in Upper New Eastern. Not to mention a healthy demand down in South Africa. If Drago wants to do business, here's where I'm staying.
Troy handed the man a card with the name and number of his hotel, and Jack, after swiping the card from Troy's grip, turned to walk away.
Hey, why don't you get your hands dirty first? We'll see about things developing after that. Stay close by, eh? I'll be in touch.
3 days later, Old Coast Dockyard. A distant rumble of thunder carried on the air from a faraway storm in the Caribbean. And the rain had eased to a mere drizzle. The night's backing orchestra had become the standard routine. Thunder and rain, rain and thunder. As if both were somehow scared of the sun's purity, the intense heat, and like most unwelcome things, they chose to come out at night. Suspense hung in the air, and the anxiety was almost palpable within Kane's boat, as it slowly crept between the large container ships, making its way to the rendezvous point. Alphonso drew a breath as he eyed the docks and released a stuttered exhale as he noticed the black hovercar that waited for them. Troy, Hanna and Jack departed the vehicle, closed the doors behind them, and remained motionless beside the car as Kane moored the boat, and Alphonso introduced his logistics partner, his voice betraying his exterior calm.
Hey, this be Kane Woods. He's my runner. You okay? You look like you're not from round here, my friend.
Troy stepped forward, eyeing the men for concealed weapons.
Yeah, never mind that, my bro. I'm all good.
Okay, man. Straight to business it is then. You got the money?
Troy lifted the briefcase.
150K, right here. You got the steamy stuff.
Got 3 keys in the boat, my man.
Jack released a wry smile.
Great. That's all we needed to hear.
A second of silence passed between the men, and a second after that, the night burst into flashing lights and piercing sirens as several patrol cars burst onto the scene. Their thrusters lifting dust and loose rubble as they came to land.
Police! Freeze!
Immediately, Troy scattered, vanishing into the endless maze of piled containers before heading straight for Kane's boat. Within an instant, Alphonso was cuffed and taken away as Jack and Kane were surrounded by patrolmen, their hands raised to play the charade. But their eyes pierced into each other's, for they were both undercover, and they had met without even knowing the play. Kane's voice rippled with anger. Who sent you a goddamn invitation?
Since when do you need an invite to your own fucking party?
Jack grimaced before a grin began to emerge on his face. He nodded over Kane's shoulder.
Hey, looks like you're about to lose your speedboat, buddy.
Kane dropped his hands and turned in time to see Troy starting the engine before speeding off into the night. No, no, no! Cried Kane, racing to the nearest patrol car, flashing his badge at the bewildered officer standing next to it, and promptly gave chase. Troy sped down the river, the wind and rain relentlessly stinging his face. He looked over his shoulder to check for clearance. Nothing there. But a sudden flash of light caught his eye, and he turned to see the patrol car speeding along the road that ran parallel to the river. Turning back with newfound determination, he thrust the throttle forward. Kane followed as best he could, his foot ramming the accelerator into the ground. The wheel violently turned left and right, avoiding the garbage and abandoned machinery that lay across the road. Up ahead, he spied an opening. The barrier gave way to the river, and he reached down for the controls to activate hover mode. The car's thrusters ignited, and the vehicle barely had time to levitate before Kane wildly turned onto the river. The patrol car continued chase, its thrusters spreading ferocious ripples as its wake spread across the water. Troy turned once more to witness the daring move. But the ball was still in his court. The speedboat would be much faster than the hovering patrol car, especially on the uneven surface of water. He began snaking his way forward, moving the boat left to right to create violent waves behind him, before slamming the throttle forward once more. Kane, realizing the fleeing drug dealer's tactics, slowed down slightly to avoid the hover element being thrown off balance. He didn't much care to take a swim this evening. His face was contorted with anger and defeat. There was no way he could catch him. Not now. Not unless... He briefly eyed the waters ahead. The neon lights of the Harbour Yacht Club were approaching. That would surely be his only retreat. The sea wall didn't extend this far. This area was already deemed as lost, and the small barriers that lined the coasts and rivers offered little resistance. It had to be there. It had to be there. For after that harbour, it was nothing but open ocean. Kane made a decision and swung the car back onto the road. He would be faster by land. Troy slowed the speedboat down after checking and double-checking that the chase had been called off. No further signs alerted him, and he had presumed he was in the clear. Eventually, he came to a nearby port, some form of harbour club. He gave the area a once-over. No signs of movement caught his eye, aside from the distant aviator's glow in the drizzling night sky. As if offering some cruel reminder, the aviator mirrored the message from that night in Upper New Eastern, the night of his brother's murder. Welcome to the new 80s. Pulling the throttle back to a mere whisper of power, he let the boat drift in gently. And as he passed a nearby jetty, the sound of movement came too late for any form of reaction. Kane leapt from the nearby platform and flattened Troy upon impact, the two men landing uncomfortably within the tight confines of the speedboat. Troy spun around, parrying Kane's grapple and attempting to maneuver himself from a compromising position. But Kane maintained the advantage and used his weight to bear down upon the drug dealer as he drew his badge and gun. "Freeze! It's your unlucky day, pal. I'm a vice runner." Troy exposed the hidden badge beneath his shirt.
Congratulations, buddy. Me too.
Detective Lieutenant Carlito Rodriguez arrived several hours later. His face was less than amused. The lieutenant was softly spoken, calm, always smartly presented, and donned a heavy mustache. But despite his small frame, he held an air of authority that transcended jurisdictions. Now, the three men stood near the jetty. Their breath hung in the air and mingled with the mist forming on the nearby water. The night drew colder, as the drizzling rain reflected a million colours from the multitude of neon signs and aviators that bathed the city beyond. "Weeks of legwork I put on this bus, Chief. And most of the players turn out to be cops! Me, Jack, and a surprise guest appearance direct from Fun City."
Shut up, Beckett, and let me explain. This is Troy Hanna, and he's here on a priority clearance. It's a direct transfer request, so get used to it.
Right, sure, okay. So what are you here for then, Troy? Any particular reason, or are you just working on your tan?
And what about you? You're clearly not from around here with that accent.
Oh, right, yeah. Listen, my parents were Irish. I've lived in almost every damn district in New Eastern, and I just spent 3 years undercover in London, so yeah, my accent is shot to shit. Who cares, pal? Just answer the damn question.
You heard of a drug lord by the name of Drago?
No.
Well, he was pushing a major deal up in Raptor Heights. One of our undercover detectives set himself up with a meet, but the bust went sour. The detective was shot to death. He was my brother.
We reckon Drago is back down here in Elysian Shores. This guy's major league, Beckett. And he's also a cop killer.
And I was about to make some serious moves on this guy. Starting tonight. You know that dude I showed up with earlier is one of his main guys.
That dude you showed up with is Jack Burton. He's undercover DEA, pal. And my guy, Alphonso? He's on the payroll of a Colombian I've been trying to meet for 2 months now. Troy took a moment of pause as he reached inside his jacket and pulled out a warm surveillance photo.
This photo was taken before that hit in Raptor Heights. Dude on the right is Drago.
Kane instantly recognized the man's face. That's the Colombian.
Huh. Looks like you two are after the same man. Well, instead of beating each other up, why don't you guys consider working together? We're already down one vice runner.
Forget it. This is personal for me, Chief. This guy got my partner killed.
And my brother too. This is personal for both of us.
A silence fell upon the men as the rain continued to pour. And with that cleansing, a revelation dawned.
So, Kane Woods, is that your cover name or something?
Yeah, that's the general idea, pal. I'm a logistics guy with ocean-going means for all steam pushers.
Come on, man. We should...
Now listen, pal, this ain't Raptor Heights, okay? This is Elysian Shores, and down here you can't tell the difference between the players without a program.
No, you listen, Beckett. Look, you and me are going to keep bumping knees and elbows all the way down this road. Or we could just work together.
It's not really an option, Beckett. So man up and deal with it.
Well, that's just great. Fine. I guess we could arrange some form of temporary working relationship. To be continued.